Hello, my name is Anuj Ramakrishnan, and today I would like to talk about narcolepsy, a condition that has affected me significantly. Some of you might be asking yourselves, what exactly is narcolepsy? And that's understandable. Many people don't know when I first tell them. On one memorable occasion, the person to whom I was talking leaned over and in a hushed voice asked, "Is that like a drug problem or something, because it's narcolepsy?" I laughed, and just to clear up any confusion, it's not. Narcolepsy is a condition that causes excessive daytime sleepiness. It causes irregular sleep cycles, therefore blurring the line between wakefulness and sleep. While I fall asleep during the daytime, I wake up frequently at night. And when I do fall asleep, I only realize that I've done so when I wake back up because the transition from wakefulness to sleep is so smooth. Usually when this transition happens, I fixate on some aspect of reality as I start to drift away into sleep, and that becomes my subject of dreaming. For example, if I am reading a book about birds, I might, at some barely recognizable point in time, start to veer off of my previous train of thought into pure imagination, dreaming that the birds turn into jets and are shot down by X-wing fighters from Star Wars. Now, the alarming fact to note here is that in each unintentional nap, unless I'm especially tired, I only fall asleep for about a minute or so. And with each of these naps, within seconds, I enter the vivid dreaming state known as REM sleep, an occurrence that takes regular people an hour or more to do after they fall asleep. Yes, the difference is quite large. Now, I'd like to take a little bit of time to explain how I came to discover that I was afflicted by the condition known as narcolepsy. It all started in the winter of 8th grade. It was a dark and stormy night at the Sleep Study Center, and my parents and I were confused as to why I was having trouble staying awake during the day. So, at the Sleep Study Center, the sleep lab technicians told me, just try and sleep normally. And unfortunately, with this monstrosity of wires attached, that was a bit difficult. Nevertheless, after a night and day of data collection and a week or so of analysis, the Sleep Center came back to me with the conclusion that I didn't have narcolepsy, which was frustrating to me because it didn't bring me much closer to solving my problem of daytime drowsiness. With this conclusion, over the course of the next few years, I tried many ways to reduce my sleepiness, including drinking more water, using a sleep cycle-based alarm, and taking melatonin supplements before I go to bed. However, none of these really worked too well. I was really only able to take steps towards getting a diagnosis and treatment for my problem when I was referred to a new sleep specialist by my new primary care physician. The new sleep doctor looked back at my past sleep study and conducted one of his own, and came back to me with the conclusion that he found substantial evidence that I did in fact have narcolepsy. Now, to put this in perspective, I got this diagnosis around last February, and I was able to start a steady plan of medication by March. Things aren't perfect now. I have to be careful about dose timing. For example, each dose lasts about 4 hours, and it takes about an hour for the medicine to kick in after I take it. Because I only drive when I'm at peak, when I feel the medicine working at its peak, sometimes I'll have to wait at school until about 6 o'clock or so because I forgot to take my medicine until about 5. So, and also, my medicine causes some annoying side effects. However, I would take these rather minuscule annoyances over the alternative of going back to having little to no control over my wakefulness any day of the week. Having come so far from being the 10th grader who saw it as a viable option to bring a pillow each day to Mr. Colley's class, I look back on this trial, which, for the most part, I have overcome, and I appreciate the lessons I have learned. The first stems from the way people treated me as I struggled to stay awake during class and before I got the diagnosis of narcolepsy. Especially my teachers were understanding and made genuine efforts to help. For example, Mr. Colley, an avid aficionado of all things caffeine related, suggested to me that I try drinking coffee. When this didn't work at first, he came back to me with the conclusion that most logical coffee drinkers would suggest, add espresso. And unfortunately, even that didn't work. And in light of that, I still appreciate the empathy that was shown towards me, despite the lack of a concrete explanation for my problem. This has taught me to be more understanding of other people's situations and not make quick judgments. Another lesson that I've learned through my experiences with narcolepsy is that I should maintain confidence in myself. Each time I had an unintentional nap before I was given the diagnosis of narcolepsy, I would feel a sense of guilt. Guilt for missing a lecture, guilt for falling asleep during an important class discussion, guilt for just falling behind in general. Internal conflict would constantly arise over the automatic and almost subconscious assignment of blame that I would make when considering the lecture or a section of a test that I slept through. This caused a problem because I was unable to distance myself from the guilt of having missed opportunities due to narcolepsy. And furthermore, with this guilt on my shoulders, I was unable to really prove to myself that I was making an effort to reconcile for my problem. As I previously mentioned, my efforts to reduce my sleepiness didn't really go too well. Looking back, I realized that the missing component here was self-confidence. I needed self-confidence to tell me that while I should have not stopped trying to find a solution for my daytime drowsiness, I should have had faith that with time, I would find the underlying reason for my problem and therefore be able to acquit myself of the blame I assigned for having missed opportunities due to narcolepsy. In the end, I am grateful for the things that I have learned from narcolepsy. I am grateful for the knowledge that if you're going to fall asleep in your food, spaghetti makes the best pillow. But jokes aside, I see these steps that I have taken in learning more about empathy and self-confidence as invaluable factors in my development as an individual. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.